What is going on, guys? Welcome to Double Tap. This is Mash Those Buttons podcast dedicated to the fighting game community. And I'm, of course, your host, Crash. I just bumped my own desk. And I'm with me. I've got my full squad. I've got Static G in the building, of course. You can, I was going to say hi now. And then we've got Meza. We've got Meza as well back in the building. It's a full force today. What is the last show of 2023. We are recording this actually on the 30th of December 2023 because New Year's is unfortunately going to be on the day of where we would normally live stream this, twitch.tv/DoubleTapFGC. So we're doing this ahead of time so we can check some fireballs, some Hadoukens in the sky with no worries. You know, everybody's got something going on, but we will still have a show for you guys to enjoy to ring in the new year. If you haven't already, make sure to follow us at DoubleTapFGC on all social media platforms as well to get, you know, the most up-to-date updates and the episodes when they go live and all. Sorry, I had to catch my breath there, but let's jump into it, man, because it's gonna be a little bit of a different episode. Not so much in terms of a lot of news, but before we get into it, let's just get through some of the normal stuff, which is things like the question of the week from last week. So last week, completely forgot to post it up on Twitter. My bad, guys. And we did ask, we kind of had a big Granblue Fantasy versus Rising kind of discussion, but we did ask for you guys on the poll side if Granblue has updated enough to this point. In other words, Rising with all the Season 1 DLC, all the updates, all the new mechanics, everything, the entire refresh. Is it enough for you guys to purchase? You guys are stating here over on Spotify, hit us with a 66% saying yes, take my money, while 33% stating nope, not good enough. How do you guys feel about that number? Do you think the game is good enough to be picked up? Have you guys picked it up right now? Here we go. There's three of us right here. If two of us say yes, that's that 66%.
I truly believe. I truly believe it is a worthy game to pick up for $60. Everything I've played so far, story mode, the
Fall Guys,
I guess all like the Fall Guys, pretty much. Yeah, it's cool because it's different. It's very different, but there's a lot of room to look at this and go, oh, this is how games should be in 2023. This is how games should have probably been in 2021, maybe even 2020. And I feel like it's a worthy $60 game. Big cast. If you bought the game prior, the original ones, I think it kind of sucks because it feels like you got shorted your money. But if you didn't and you're new into the game, this is probably the best time to do it.
What about you, Static? How are you feeling? Did you shell out?
I did not yet. No. But
yet or ever will?
I will. But
when?
I know
he's gonna say it when it's on sale.
No, actually, I might have even. I was gonna go for the medium route, not the whole $70, $60-$70 was the ultimate edition route.
Oh
it's not 60, it's actually like $50 regular.
Like 50, yeah.
So I'm gonna go that route, and I played it in my friend's house.
Holidays are tough, right? I'm gonna let the homies buy the copy, and we'll go play over there. That's nobody. It's a 66% of 33. It's confirmed that it even works out here. So
remember, he didn't get to play the beta like that. That's why he didn't get to play the beta as much. So him playing at his friends was the beta. I did. So that's why I was willing to shell out this.
Yeah, you did.
No, I literally played it last Friday. But it just doesn't translate as well as I wanted to.
With that, we've got also the other part, which is obviously the full question of the week, which we did ask because this has kind of been the discussion for a while. To get the full context on it, make sure to go check out the last episode. But we did ask, with new fighting games, having to bring new people in, like new blood coming in, right? That's kind of the way this scene works. Do you think there are more neutral skip mechanics than the older games? We did ask this. We did get it also on our Discord, mash.gg/Discord. Make sure to join us there. And we had some pretty good answers. Some kind of like essay long answers. We're not going to go through in its entirety, but one of our viewers stated that skip and neutral was always a part of a character's identity, depending on who you picked. It's nothing new. This is they feel like maybe it's a little bit more modern now, like a little more. It's happening a bit more often, only with maybe a few characters. In the past, now it's like becoming more of a kind of like a mechanic thing. You've got Drive Rush, obviously being a universal one, a Street Fighter 6, the Dash Lights in Granblue, and then the characters that have it in their kit get to skip more or without meter instead of being a unique part of them. So it's like an interesting take. It's kind of stating, like we were saying, like the universal mechanics is that it's like it's pushing it on all characters versus that, you know, maybe some characters were able to do it by themselves. So it's kind of a take on that. And the other one, like I said, it's a bit of a longer pick, but the main idea behind the answer is what they do and they don't like about the neutral skips. They don't mind neutral skips as long as they can be punished. What they don't like are the neutral skips that have no risk to them if things go south, which I think can be a universal sentiment. I think everyone here could agree. Like, no one likes to fight a character that has an unfair move that does let them get in. Even when you do block, even when you do call it out, there's like no risk to it. So they can just like, you know, I'm in neutral, once again, Virgil example, you know, H. It doesn't matter. Beam could have came out, drones could have came out, one of your buttons would have came out. H to, especially if you have meter behind
Stinger.
it. Yeah.
It's
Or
Stinger, yeah.
or Stinger,
cancel
or
the
Stinger
button,
to
Stinger.
move.
Boom.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. That another example of that. So you can see the sentiment there, but yeah, if you want to get, like I said, context on the whole skip neutral discussion, make sure to check out last week's episode. But we appreciate everyone that did take the time to answer. I will make sure to get it on Twitter this week for the following one that we'll ask later. So that's it for the question of the week for last week. Let's jump right into it, man. This is going to be a special episode. You know, there's just like some news that happened, but we're not going to worry about covering that. We'll probably hit anything that we missed into the next episode in the new year. But like, let's just jump into the year 2023 for fighting games. And off the rip, to my host here, my co-host here, we'll start with you, Mezzo. What is the first thing that comes to mind when you look back in fighting games of 2023? What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
100% EG just completely outing, just disappearing from the scene.
Ooh.
I think that was really kind of like a hard hit to not just esports itself, but to the fighting game community, because EG was kind of like that hold it together. You have some of the best players, if not the best player in the world. And it's like, where the hell do they go next, right? You know, that to me was like the, oh shit, we might be coming to a whole new era of things that might be either really good or really bad.
Just a change of the tides kind of deal, right?
Yeah, because we lost so much before that. Now it's kind of
Yeah.
like we thought we were rebuilding, and it's like, oh, it happened again. What's
to see
the next step?
EG go, which context, you know, EG's been going since, you know, Street Fighter 4, the kind of re-return of fighting games, right? Justin Wong on it, Ricky Ortiz, PR Balrog, K-Brad, and of course, even in the more modern times, Sonic Fox,
Kill Sage.
was it Super New? No, it's
No, the Kill Sage. The Kill Sage.
the Kill Sage. Thank you. I always get those two mixed up. I don't know about y'all, but I get those two confused. Like,
I can understand why.
I don't mean to. No disrespect. I just like literally it's who I'm thinking of. What about you, Static? You're looking back at 2023. What's the first thing that comes to mind?
Evo at Marvel. Marvel at Evo.
Oh, you had one
It
job.
was that.
Yeah,
It
one
was that.
answer.
I had my glasses off. Sorry. Yeah, Marvel 3 at
Marvel
Evo,
at Evo.
was definitely my one thing I think of, just because I think of the beginning of the year with Marvel being added to Evo's bracket and seeing Tong and TNS, the work that they've done with having brought it back into the limelight. Now, again, it's been at every event last year. It was at Combo Breaker last year. It was at CEO last year. I competed at CEO last year, and other events. I've been playing since like 2021, 2020. Well, I've been playing prior to that for 10 years, but also I've been playing every like tournament that I could get to. But this year, or 23, was the one where it was definitely more of the right fit, at least for me, I feel, where it was just like you had everybody come back to sort of play and to show up to Evo, and even just the amount of competition that was there was very reminiscent of the old days. And not that I'm like the biggest fan of the old days, but it definitely hit close to home, and also was just the right time, I feel. So definitely one of my favorite moments, and not just moment, but like what I think about when I think about this year.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just as much as it was, this year was, I can still remember where I was when you had to watch like the reaction video of hearing or seeing, Capcom Presents, right? When they announced it for Evo's lineup, and then also watching the reaction of Tong. Shout out to Tong. We had him on the show and stuff. Awesome dude, and the work that he does, TNS, that whole crew. But like watching his reaction was also just very heartfelt. It was amazing to see, and then to actually see it happen, and Evo, it being the actual return of it, was kind of was pretty surreal. And I'm with you. I'm with you. And like, I don't want to say I'm the stand of the old days, but at the same time, fuck it, I'll say I'm a stand of the old days because it was our old days. So I will always stand those days because those were awesome times for everybody on the show. Right. Where we made a lot of memories together, and because of the game. So I will forever stand the old days because of that. But for me, 2023 was a pretty incredible year. I mean, just thinking of everything that went down, right? We've had let me think. So let me go from the list. Street Fighter 6 has been released. Mortal Kombat 1 has been announced and released. We've had the Capcom Cup, announcement, right? The $2 million prize pool with, the biggest amount of prize pool for first place in the history of all fighting games being announced. We've had the KI Anniversary Edition. Multiverses came out, not the same year, but, it went down this year, due to the situations, kind of going around development and all that we might see in 2024. And there's even more to get into. So it's really hard. And also Tekken not released, right? Demo released, you can play it right now, but it's even more that can be said. But for me, the thing that probably stands out the most, I want to say, it's going to sound weird. But for me, it was just with the release of Street Fighter and a lot of the other mainstream games coming through. For me, I was happy to see Strive still not chug through, but power through a lot, because the biggest thing for me was that because Strive was born in the world of, it was ushering rollback and stuff, right? Like it was kind of one of the first ones to kind of give us the next gen. And a lot of people were also kind of betting on once these games come out, Strive will be nothing. Like no one's gonna play it. It's gonna go back into Guilty Gear's gonna go back into the resurgence of the niche kind of game for certain people, and no one's gonna talk about it again. I feel like it's the opposite. It's still very much, if it's not first in terms of entries, it's probably second, if not third, at the very worst. You can look at even Evo. Evo making record numbers of participants this year, ever. Over 9,000 people signed up. Obviously, about 7,000 of them were for Street Fighter 6. Makes sense. First year, first Evo, 2 months apart. But Strive was right there with 2,000-3,000 signups, I believe. I think it was somewhere towards 3. In second place, though, beating out everything else. It was really dope to see, because I'm just, I'm a fan of the franchise. It's one of my just all-time favorites, and I was happy to see that people were still playing it, and it's still being supported by ArcSys in new ways, right? Especially with things like the season 3 patch. You can give us a gas face all you want, Static, when I said Strive earlier, but hey, you gotta try things, and I'm down with Arc System Works continuing to try things for the game and evolve it.
Yeah, I know. I like the game. I just, when I play it, I get pissed.
there's the but. Is it, y'all ever been in a conversation with the homie and you're explaining the girlfriend to them, yo, she's awesome, and you're just waiting, where's the butt? Where's the butt? And I don't mean her back end. I'm talking about where's the big butt that's just gonna flip this entire conversation. That's Static with Guilty Gear. He's I love the design, I love the music, I love the characters.
She eats raw crabs,
but
man.
yeah, exactly. She doesn't put Old Bay spice on her fucking fries. She thinks it's gross. You're what?
Yeah. Playing it makes
without milk and water.
Ooh,
playing it makes no sense.
Cereal.
She's nice around people, but when you take her home, no, stop.
Yeah. So playing it doesn't make sense. But I think that can, that'll evolve as the game evolves. That's what I like, is that you might not feel it 100%, but I think the more they hone it in, the more they work on it, you'll see the evolution of the game. But that's just what I kind of look back on 2023, not as the biggest thing, but it's the thing that I think about the most. But with that, guys, I want you guys to take a quick second, you the listener, and tell us, or kind of put together what you think of 2023 when it comes to fighting games, as we go to this quick ad break. When we come back, we're going to go diving in. We're going to talk a little bit more on what went down, and then we'll get into some 2024 actions. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. We are back. Took that quick break from a little bit of reminiscing as to, what we liked about the year of 2023 when it comes to the fighting game community. I know I listed off a couple things earlier. That's just like the tip of the iceberg. If we kind of keep going in, there's a lot that went down. Both officially, unofficially. There's everything on each level. There was like the indie side of things, the community in itself, things that I like seeing, and things maybe I didn't like seeing so much in 2023. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna count off one of the best things that happened in 2023 and one of the worst things that we think happened in 2023. This time we're gonna start it with Static. On what do you think is one of the best things that happened in 2023? This is different from what we said earlier. Earlier was just memorable things. This is like, what do you think was the best thing that happened in 2023 in your opinion?
Man, I think the best thing is that every game is getting supported. Every mainstream game.
Ooh.
I think that's the best part. Just because we're getting newer games. Yeah, like we're getting Uni 2, we're getting but Uni 2 still feels like an expansion on Uni 1. It's just it's just a little the same. But still, it's still a game that's getting supported. You've got even Dragon Ball is still getting supported, and had that huge patch earlier in the year, which made the game even crazier. The rollback netcode, obviously, they had a 2-week beta, but you know what? 2-week beta is better than no beta at all, and no rollback at all. So that was definitely a time that was very good for the game. Healthy. KI coming back, like more support for that. I think that's definitely, and then Street Fighter 6. There's a lot more.
Granblue in general. The fact that there's a new version.
Revived.
Right? Exactly.
Right.
That's a damn good point. I didn't think about that. Like how many games have just gotten like that could have easily, like if you
Revived,
think of even a few years back, would have just been left for dead, right? Like don't touch it. We'll move on to the next thing. Sam Show getting rolled back as well.
Yeah.
KOF 13. Global match rollback version weird. Comes back. Probably one of the best looking sprite-based games ever. P4AU, like getting mad love. Plus are still technically getting love as well. But it actually has been a year of kind of resurrection for a lot of games, and just continued support. So
it's a lot of games.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, it's a lot of games. I did not really think that way.
Didn't Xrd 2 get that update too not too long ago, but right on the cusp of 2023? That was like 2022.
Yes. The rollback, right?
I think that was right at the end, right?
That was at CEO Taco the year before, or it was at Frosty's. I don't remember, but it came with the announcement of one of the characters. I believe
it was after. It wasn't Frosty's this year. So it had to be either after or a little bit before. So
then that was already, because remember everybody downloaded the game again. They were like, "Oh, this is why I hate this game."
Yeah.
At least that's what that was.
Yeah.
This game so wait, am I saying what I hated?
We'll go to the hated afterwards. So
because notice I left something out.
Oh, what'd you leave it?
I know you left out.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, you left something out. Oh, you're worse. Okay, all right, Meza. Your best. What do you think is the best thing that went down in 2023 for you?
So I don't like overall the way I look at the community wise. I will say this: transparency from companies has gotten tremendously better, especially keeping developers' backyard. Thought that would go away. I think companies have done a great job on that aspect. But that's just if we're looking at the whole, right? But for me personally, I still think it was going to Frosty's for my first time. Yeah, going to Frosty's for my first time. In I know it's weird because it was 2023. Yeah, it feels like it was 2022, but it was 2023. Going to Frosty's and spending time with the international players, it kind of brought me back to that old feel of sitting in a hotel, really playing games, building tier lists with them, seeing different perspectives. So for me, being on an ARC tour, it was nice to be on a tour again. I haven't had that since maybe, I don't even want to say MVCI because that was such a shit show of a tour. Probably since the Pokken tournament tour. That I would say this felt like coming back to the roots of what old FGC mixed with a little bit of some community and a little bit of some of the higher up stuff being integrated into what we do. And granted, I'm playing a smaller game. It was still nice to have an ARC tour where I could be damn, I could still play international players. I don't have to play a big game to do that. So that was really nice to do that and sit with them and really mingle and see them for the first time eat American sweets and lose their minds. They ate Cheez-Its and they were like, "This is the greatest thing of all time." I'm like, yeah, that's a highlight for me. You know, streaming on my phone to like the mass of DNF dual players, like that was just like you can't really get that anywhere else. But like going to an event and just it hits that one good event that you didn't choose not to go to.
So for you, it was like a personal. It was like back to formula, back to the roots, like you said, about like how it always felt. That's good. Like, yeah, it doesn't have to be like, just let y'all know, just like listeners, it could be a personal one too, because some of us have gone through everyone's going through something. Mez is just getting reacquainted with, them days that he enjoyed. So, dude, awesome to hear that's like what went down in 2023. Hopefully, then continue into 2024. Yep. For me, I want to say it's honestly been the community, like showcasing community members. Like, I don't know what it was, but in this year, whether you were a modder, stick maker, developer, indie developer, or you're developing tools for, like, I know it's just modders, but like I'm thinking costume modders, right? Like really cool, really insane mods that we highlight here on the show, or even just creating tools for games like even like, Super Turbo and such, that now you have like the actual like frame counter and everything from Street Fighter 6 is now actually created in Super Turbo 2, so you can play the game and like lab it like crazy like you would in Street Fighter 6. I think this year was just like such a great highlight for them, and even artists, obviously artists. I would so much. I feel like there was just way more artwork that I was seeing circling around my feeds this year when it came to fighting games. From all genres. There were like, I wish I remember the artist that did he did the series where he was doing a single character in like MVC2 style, like face off, like every day. And he was highlighting it. He did a big old collage of it. That was awesome. Other modders, like, we've highlighted Wistful Hopes in here, who's working on they have a Night Sky engine, which is like their own like interpretation of a really updated Mugen. We've highlighted, it looks awesome. It's just like, this year just made me really recognize so many more names that they don't have to be, you don't have to be a pro player for me to know who you are. Like, if you're just out there creating really dope sticks, shout outs to ETH Creations, shout outs to, who else? All Fight Sticks still for doing their thing. There's even more that like I haven't had a chance to actually like go out and check some of their products, but I know of it because they're just out there innovating, trying things. I just felt this year was like such a big push for just highlighting community members that I just really enjoyed, because there's so many talented people. You don't have to be like good at pressing buttons and good at playing games to just really, like, I don't know, just show your creativity and show your player expression that way. You can just do it in all these other crafts that we have, and there's just so many people that did that this year I just felt did more than ever. So I think that's like, honestly, I think the biggest thing that came for me in 2023 was just to see and also be jealous of all the skill that's out there that isn't just fighting games. It's like, it was really cool. It was really cool. So that would be my highlight for 2023 for sure. In terms of the other side of that coin of probably the worst things that's happened this year, I want to say, I think I'll start off on mine. I think the worst thing for 2023 for me was just Twitter in general. I don't know what it was about this year, but fighting game Twitter was fucking unhinged.
It's trash.
Can I interrupt real quick? Yes. That was going to be one of mine. But I decided to keep it fighting game related. So yes. It
is still fighting game related.
I know.
Twitter was just a freaking mess. There was so much drama. There was so much stuff that got aired out that didn't need to be aired out. There was so much like just arguing over the dump. I mean, it's Twitter. Like, Twitter's not a real place, so why should we treat it any differently? But regardless, that still kind of would bleed in and would still affect things. I just thought it was just really shitty this year. Like, if you weren't posting tech, if you weren't posting, I don't know,
just content, like new content,
or content in general, maybe a really dope podcast you should go check out. It was just bitching. It was just bitching. Like, dude, that's all it was. It was just bitcher 2023 is all I saw.
It wasn't even that. It was the magnification of the smallest detail on somebody's
smallest.
status. Like, for instance, I didn't post a meme because I felt like I would get shat on or ran through like crazy. That's how kind of bad it could have been. Even though I think I did post a couple Arturo memes, but
yeah.
with the receipts,
You
I don't know how
gave
old
into
that
the
was.
problem, Static. You
But-
gave into the fucking problem.
However, like, yeah, it's just like any minuscule. It was like quote tweet. Everybody was quote tweeting, and it's like everybody had a thought about it. It was every week. It was either Brian F had a thought, Chris G had a thought, James Chen had a thought, and it's like, why does everybody need to quote tweet and then reply to the same little dude? And then it's like, I'm muting this just because. I'm like, or
yeah, like, but it all too often that I think it got blown out of proportion. I mean, don't get me wrong, there were some tweets that were
Necessary.
There were some things that were positive, and yeah, like Meza said, necessary. Absolutely, I'm not gonna take it away as a whole, but I think the ratio, if I were to give it a fucking ratio, it's probably like 70-30, 70 going to bullshit. At least that's what I was seeing on my feeds. I was trying to, mute the crap out the way, but once it spreads and goes viral within the small circles that you get on your feeds, you're always gonna end up seeing it. But that, in my opinion, was 2023. We're gonna save Static for last since he was ready to rock. So we'll let the best for last. Meza, what about you? What do you think 2023 was? Just absolute, just 0-10 matchup. Didn't want to see it. Didn't care for it, but it still happened anyway. What was it?
I don't even want to say this almost, but it's two things. It's a jointed thing because it kind of reminds me that we're still small as a community. Is when
Absolutely
someone steps out of their own category of gaming to say something about our category. So I would say, like, when I sit on Twitter and I see everything, it's not just Twitter, but it's also on YouTube. It's nice to hear, and I'll say this just to kind of like press back a little bit. It's nice that I can listen to speedrunners bring up fighting games and how difficult it is to play those games. But then I also can't stand watching the fighting game community self-destruct themselves over a game that they don't even play. I feel like I had to bear the brunt of a lot of it with DNF Duel. So I don't understand, and I don't think I'll ever understand the hatred for a game that nobody plays. So that kind of always hurt, like watching on Twitter, that I had to tell my own community, like, don't respond to it, which is so weird to me because I'm like, we should be trying to, pick each other up and stuff like that. So yeah, I would say it's a big mixture of just a DNF Duel community and getting kind of fucked over in the situation, as well as Guilty Gear with the whole Arturo thing. So watching other scenes have to talk about something of an OG player, that for me was like, oh shit, we're going down this path again that we just got out of maybe no more than like 2-3 years ago before COVID. So the Arturo situation, probably one of the worst things to me, followed up by now the newbie gaming thing, which both those situations are just shit show. Like, I'm just like, can we go back to just playing fighting games, man? Like, cut all the bullshit.
The other side of it is like, it's both a good and a bad. It's definitely a bad thing, because you deal with people that aren't as involved, or kind of like outsider coming in and trying to dictate things. It's kind of the fighting game historically has never reacted well to it or has adjusted to that well. But on the other side, it's a good thing because that just means that's interest. I know that's kind of like weird to say.
No,
like, well,
you're right.
Like, because some people will be like, oh, who cares about the interest if it still causes damage? True. I'm not saying it's like, it's just like, it's not the same as like good and bad publicity. Publicity is publicity, but at the same time, it kind of is. But I get what you mean. We're still dealing with that, and honestly, I don't know if that's ever gonna go away, to be honest. Because if we grow, it's only going to more than likely commonly happen more.
But I do feel like it's kind of hard for me to look at the little things without saying the bigger thing, which is kind of just, it's an overall, I know we're looking back at mostly fighting games, but this does affect us. I feel like watching the whole esports like community and just ecosystem slowly like having its shit shows where it's falling apart, then it's back together, and it almost breeds this like narrative that someone has to step up to the plate and save it. And I think it's a matter of multiple people instead of just that one person. And it's kind of scary because like you don't know. We've been playing games for 13 plus years, like competitively, maybe 15, some people 20, and it's just like, oh, we thought we were at that point where things were going to be great. And it's just like, holy shit, wait, games like League of Legends are taking blows and Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, what about us? What do we have to do?
Yeah. We still have much to grow. We still have a lot of the same bullshit to deal with. But the good thing about it is that we do, you know, as much as you also said, like, you know, how other communities look at fighting games and they recognize like, yo, it's tough playing these games. Those same people that have that kind of respect are starting to cross over into it and actually become like real fighting game people, like they're actually playing or they're really getting involved, and there's only going to be positive things that are going to come from that at the same time. So it's a give and take. You know, take the highs and lows as fighting games, baby. In all aspects, you're going to get your lumps on. It's no different as a community for sure. All right, Static.
Okay.
Best for last. What?
Yeah.
In 2023 was your go-to? Like, nope, that was a strike.
Mortal Kombat. I feel like Mortal Kombat just missed the mark.
Next, no.
Yeah, no,
I was ready. He's loaded.
So MK1.
Like,
you're saying MK1 was for you the biggest kind of hit.
I feel like they missed the mark. They had a chance. You could have had a chance to announce the game much earlier in the year and have a bit more hype and a bit more quality control. I feel as though like there was a lot of things that were found that just didn't feel like the game was complete early on. Mm-hmm. Even like at Evo, the game felt fine at Evo, and then when the game released, it's like all these other characters, all these other cameos, all these things that could have been sort of tested out, and now you're slowly trickling the little patches here and there, and those patches are a little bit more of a dare I say a band-aid on like it's not even a band-aid. How about this?
They band-aid on a broken arm kind of deal?
No, actually reverse. They put like a suture kit on a tiny cut on a paper cut. You know, like they would put stitches.
They sewed it up when it was
on a small. Exactly, and it's like, come on, Cyrax didn't need that big of a nerf. I mean, yes, it was bad. You could have taken away the damage. You could have fixed the assist. You could have fixed the how much the assist takes, or at least maybe the recovery. But don't straight up take it off. Like it's almost like it's not even there. Yeah. They just fatality'd it. Now the other thing that I feel like
they're stepping too hard early.
Yes, without letting the meta grow, even though the Baraka damage could have been toned down, or maybe even the actual, assist damage could have been taken down. And there were other characters that only used it. Now Low Hat is the one that's giving people problems, and people are just not playing the game. Like there's not many streaming it. People loved it, streamed it. Coach Steve is one of the only ones who I see stream it on my list. Now, and also like Perfect Legend, maybe.
And like
the other thing is
MK and J.
Yeah. And Mike Metroid as well. However, the other thing is their DLC schedule. It is going on all the way until June, and your last character is going to be a returning character rather than a guest character. Someone who we haven't seen since Mortal Kombat X, Takeda, obviously. And we only saw him get, sorry, spoilers in the story, killed on the stairs in the story mode. All four of the kids were killed off on the story mode stairs. Yeah.
Yep.
Like, there was no explanation of that. And, but also, like, again, obviously we're getting, Quan Chi, we're getting Chameleon at the end of this month, but we just got Quan Chi. But they showcased the Chameleon character, one with the crap fatality, and then it just doesn't feel like there's ambition there. I can tell. It just doesn't feel like there's enough to back it up, and enough enough care to back it up. It feels like we're only going to get one season of DLC. I don't even feel like we're going to get more, and I say that because of how abruptly Injustice 2 ended. Granted, I liked this game. I liked where it went. Sindel feels, but I think it's again, it's ambitious. It's a different direction, but I just feel like it hasn't been executed as well as it could have with all the other games that are getting support that are dancing around it, you know? And
so coming out the gate, you're just saying it missed the dunk. Like it had the attributes to be really, really good. Like if I were to tell, if I'm going to guess how you're rating the last 3 games, that being MKX, MK11, and MK1, I would say MK1 is probably the bottom of that.
No. I didn't like 11.
Hold up.
I didn't like 11. I didn't like 11 that much. Like
that's fair.
I liked it, but
bag.
The problem is,
I feel like that was on a technicality.
The problem is that it's one of the things that I brought up in question to one of the developers when I was at Evo. It's like when you have characters coming back, like what are your plans when you're actually bringing in older characters? For me, like Devora, like obviously you have Sub-Zero who has the freeze, you know, and Devora, she barely had much of the same that she had in 10, where she was an original character to 10, brought back in 11, and didn't even play the same. Like it's a completely different character. She doesn't have certain moves, maybe ovipositor thing, whatever, but it doesn't translate. So I'm not trying to destroy the game. I like Mortal Kombat. It's a great franchise. Just forget about the last movie, but there's so much they can do with it. And the last game had more of the nostalgia trip. This one sort of just restarted it all, sort of put the nostalgia. Oh, by the way, for it to not win Game of the Year and have more sales than Street Fighter is kind of telling that people didn't either didn't like it or don't like where it's going. I think.
I mean, if we were just going off of sales figure, yeah, that makes sense as well. Yeah. But it also came out like way later, right? Like Street Fighter came out in June.
It did.
When did MK1 dropped? What?
September.
September. Yeah, because October they had those extras already. Yeah, so it had a couple months. But yeah, I think between the two, if you were to say how a game should come out swinging, it just did not come with that energy that it should have, because it was announced and then it did come out, and it was like kind of a rather short time period, right? Like, yeah, just even researching for this show, it kind of reminded me that we really didn't hear anything until like May about the game.
Was it May? PlayStation?
Yeah, it was the Summer Games Fest. I believe was when we got the actual announcement.
That was when I wasn't here. I was in Ohio going to Combo Breaker, right?
Yes, I believe that's what it was. Yeah. But it got announced around then, and then just as quickly the game turned around, and it's like, oh, it's here. Like Street Fighter 6 on the other hand was like, Capcom Cup or Evo of last year. I'm pretty sure it was Capcom Cup of the 22, and obviously didn't come out till 2023. So that was a lot to build up. Like, even though it was leaked, even though MK1 was also leaked beforehand at that like stockholders meeting, but like I don't think that the game should have already been in rotation by then.
But you got to also remember, we knew about Street Fighter 6 coming out way before the moment Luke was dropped in Street Fighter 5. Because they said he intended to be.
Yeah, because he was intended to be in 6.
So like we were already prepped for it, but also I think the biggest thing is you have to look at Mortal Kombat. They did the worst fucking possible thing with setting up a tour. That like Street Fighter set the example where they said, "Look, hey, we're doing 2 mil, but just know, like you are aware that the tour will be structured a proper way, and it's gonna follow right after the end of the previous tour." And everybody was like, "Oh, let's go!" And it was before the game dropped, and that was a big thing. Mortal Kombat didn't sell that. And I think that's where the audience was like, well, why the fuck would I play Mortal Kombat 1 where Street Fighter 6, I'd rather lose trying to fight for 2 mil. And at least I played a good game, right? I don't know what I'm doing.
And we're talking strictly on the competitive side, because the Statics point, MK still also like crazy numbers. Like,
it's
as much as we say it competitively, like that how MK is smaller, like when we're talking the broader audience, like fucking Mortal Kombat has a day of the year. Mortal Mondays is a thing and has been a thing since the 90s. Like, let's just be very clear. I don't see a Street Fighter Saturday or a Sunday nowhere. Right?
True.
Like, no, that's how Tuesday. Engraved it is. Yeah, it was a Tuesday. Sorry, my bad.
But let's be real. They did kill their own. They did kill their own audience in general with the Switch release. Like that was probably the worst thing they could have pulled off.
That was no realistically. That was
because that's what happens. Normally they drop they'll drop something like that later down the road.
Later
it'll
down
be
the line,
okay, right? It'll be playable. We've seen them do it with X, with 11. We've seen, other games do it, and it was still like the same thing, but better. It was just like, oh, we have more mechanics or we have more testable stuff because people are going to use it on the road. But the biggest thing that I didn't like was you did all this, no crossplay. PC has more issues than anything, to the point where people can't even play it because of the Jin version. Yeah, we're return my damn game as soon as possible. You know what I mean? Or just don't play it. And now we're talking about the numbers.
So I think another reason why I probably didn't win like Game of the Year is because you have everybody that you play online is either going to talk trash to you through your controller or just there's you can see the attitude of the players when they play it. It's just like, oh, I hate this game. And it's just
you think the mic still doesn't work. That system that they have in the game still doesn't work.
No, it does. It does.
No, it doesn't. On the PlayStation, it doesn't.
Yeah, toxic community aside, like I'm not sure how that's relevant in the Game Awards side of things, but I do get it. It does. It just leaves a bad taste in your mouth for sure.
Well, anyway, so overall, like they could have fixed it with a better DLC schedule. We had 6 characters. I don't want to say, listen, I'm not the one who's going to sit here and make the characters. I don't know how long it takes, but like Homelander, John Cena, aka whatever his name is, and Takeda, and Irvin Ermac, who's in the game, and obviously Quan Chi in the game as well, but he's out now. Shang Tsung was also kind of DLC, but not really, but you had to buy the game with it. You have to unlock Havoc, or unlock other things. Yep. You got to go through story mode. I also feel like it was a little bit of a bare bones game if you're not into the crypt, or not crypt, but with the tables, the mesas, whatever that's called.
Yeah. I will push back a little bit on the Peacemaker character, and also on the second to last character, Homelander. Remember, they're still doing their shows, their prospective shows, and Homelander did just finish with, spoilers, next gen. So he had his own part in there. Plus,
we speculated that potentially scheduling differences due to things like the strike, things outside of their control. So that's understandable.
So I think that played a bigger role in the release for that. But go on. Yeah.
All right.
I'm done. It's just left sour taste, but it's okay. It doesn't linger, hopefully.
Of all things, MK seems to be the one that Static just does not want to remember, or rather, not remember, just thinks didn't come out as hard as it probably could have in 2023. But that does not mean it can't improve. That does not mean it can't get better. It still has time. Hopefully, NRS curse continues to break. It has broken in MK11, where the game is done after 2 years. It surprisingly got supported and survived, well past that. But we'll just have to see as to what is going to happen in 2024, which is what we're going to be talking about next after we get done with this break. Gotta get some water.
I want to get ready
because we got some thoughts. Oh, God. Meza, what you got?
One thing. Gabe, I think it was during the Kurt Angle time period where they were doing the You Suck. I'm going to get you a t-shirt that has just MK on it, and it's going to say You Suck. I'm just going to do that just for you.
Just have it with Shao Kahn pointing at the next person, like pointing at left or right. I'm with You Suck, or I'm with Stupid or something.
We'll be back after this break, guys. Don't go anywhere. All right, we're back. We're ready to talk 2024, man. We're at the cusp right now. There's a lot of things that we are looking forward to in 2024 for the fighting game community, whether it's releases, whether it's expectations. But I think it's the mark. I think this is honestly the line in the sand for me when it comes to 2023, because I think it's a paradigm year. Like for those that remember, right? Like for those that remember, like it's like a million years ago, but it feels like a million years ago. Yo, let me just bring it back. 2009, right? A big trifecta happened. StarCraft, League of Legends, Street Fighter 4 comes out, right? Esports is seen in abundance, and as a byproduct, fighting games coming back, resurgence, right? I want to say, in my opinion, in 2023, this is the end of that 2009 era. Now, you might say, like, well, Crash, we've already had a Street Fighter since, we've already had an MK since. We didn't have a different Tekken though, right? Remember that Tekken 6 into 7, yes, but like 7's been the longest one of that gen, really. But like since 2009, the tag games, everything, like there's been like an ongoing generation change. We've gone through several consoles now, but I don't know what it is, but I believe in 2023 for me, it's kind of allowed like the new generation of fighting games, the real new generation. Like Guilty Gear was like an early start in that running, but my signal is this: Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, MK1, big three. Big, incredibly mainstay franchises that now have brand new numerical sequels to their games. Tekken 8 technically not out till 2024, but it's at the beginning, so I give that one the pass. So those three games, the new, Granblue, you've got Project L, TM, soon TM, if they have anything else going on in 2024. KOF 15 as well, right? KOF 15, even though technically it's year one already, but these really big known franchises all have just like moved on together into a new kind of generation of play styles where they're trying to cater to even more new blood to come in, right? Like things like that, which we'll skip conversation we had last episode. So 2024 is kind of leading up to a lot of other things. So what I want to talk about is like, what are the things you're looking forward to in 2024? Right, the things that we all as a community are going to be looking forward to, really, and it kind of goes through like all these different layers. Like, even if you look at it at an event standpoint, right? I'm really interested in Evo Japan 2024 this year because since 2018, right? That was the first one, right? Static 2018.
Yeah,
okay.
We were there.
Because we were there. That's why I keep
2018. Right. Dragon Ball FighterZ came out.
Thank you. 2018. Since then, Evo Japan has not been a paid event. It's a lot of bureaucracy that went off behind it because of just how it's categorized in gambling and such. You can't, like in Japan, you can't pay for admission for that. That's changed up. Like the times have changed. It's now going to be a fully, funded event. And it's gonna, some of those proceeds are coming obviously from ticket sales, entries from players, venues, whatever. I'm really interested because now it's given us about a 5-year kind of like data gathering, a sample. For a free event, and then I'm curious to see how the numbers look when it's not free, because let's be honest, when it's a free event, the numbers tend to be a little inflated. Not to say it's a good thing that like, oh, the numbers are going to go down. It's like, I just want to see what the difference is. I'm just looking at it as a data standpoint, so I'm very curious as to how the event's going to be, especially that it's also obviously I believe it's in Tokyo again, right, or has been in Tokyo since last year. Can't remember 100%. I'm gonna have to double check.
I don't know.
That and continuing with the Evo is the supposed new region or new Evo supposed to happen. Remember, Rick did kind of allude to that in last year's Evo in 2023. That like there's we're going back to Japan. They announced it there on the spot, and then they go, there might be another Evo. We've long suspected potentially Europe. It makes sense for Europe because that's kind of the only part outside of, I don't know if you want to call it, Australia could be another one, maybe. But I would think APAC would be something like that. But I would say Europe, an Evo UK or something like that would be really cool. Just Evo EU. That's what I'm hoping to hear. So event-wise, I don't know, are you guys looking towards any other events in 2024 that might be making a new cut? Another one actually to bring up too is the esports World Cup, formerly Gamers 8. That was that invitational Street Fighter 6 tournament that happened out in the Middle East. Yep.
Yeah.
So
I was thinking that like Evo Saudi, because the amount of money that they threw in there, I'm like, whoa.
I was thinking that too. I'm not really sure, but I don't know. EU just makes the most sense to me. But like you said, there's a lot of money out there, and their involvement has been going on for a while between different publishers and such that are out there, and then even companies like SNK are mostly owned by them. Wouldn't be surprised if they're trying to dip their toes into a possible partnership there. They got Fat Wallace to do so. They got the deep pockets. So I would not be surprised.
Remember, they were there at Evo Evo Japan 2018. We didn't know.
yeah, I remember. In our midst. So events are looking real good in 2024, but on top of that, it's just what's gonna push them, right? The games.
Yeah.
Are there any games that you guys are thinking of right now that you're just like looking forward to seeing in 2024 or looking to experience? This could even be like, you want to call it a New Year's resolution type thing, go for it. But it's a game maybe you want to try out, really want to, put in some hours in and really see if you're feeling it. Like, what's sticking in mind to you guys?
You want me to go?
Sure, I'll go.
I was about to say, somebody go.
You got the
Don't
game
leave me
here. Go ahead,
hanging.
Gabe.
So obviously there was a time when like 2016, I felt like was the year. Now we've had Marvel, obviously that was a game that was out, but it wasn't until like 2015 or 16 that we actually started seeing like, how do I say, there was like a switch for everybody to do sort of tag games. Like there was BB Cross tag. You had, I mean, even 2010 and on. 2010 had the Marvels. Then you had all of the Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Then it was like the decade of tag games. And now it feels like we're having this sort of renaissance of assist character, aka maybe co-op games, especially with Project L on the rise. It seems like we're trying to go into this co-op sort of more characters on the screen, because even Marvel Infinite kind of did it too. With that in 2018, 2019. So I feel like we're getting into that renaissance, and I'm kind of excited to see if Capcom is going to ever branch into that again, into sort of a tag-based multi-man fighter. Because
like
Street Fighter is obviously going
like another, not a Capcom versus. I'm thinking Tatsunoko, because it's like the only other versus I can think of outside of a Marvel, type of property.
Whether it's a Capcom,
if y'all seen those Insomniac, those leaks inside, it's not Insomniac, like so the PlayStation leaks are no, it wasn't Insomniac, wasn't it?
I don't know.
It stated how the costs for like Marvel like characters or IPs are. Yeah. Once you see those numbers, you're like, okay, I can see why it might be a little difficult to have a Capcom, an MVC4 or something like that.
And I'm not looking forward to any MVC4. If anything, they can do an internal Capcom fighting game with so many characters that they have. But I'm only saying that because
bring back your rival schools.
Yeah, and I'm saying a lot of this because there's not many games that are announced for 2024 in terms of fighting. We just have Uni 2 and Tekken coming out. To me, that's all I'm seeing on the horizon, and Dragon Ball getting its rollback. But other than that, I don't see any. What's that?
There is Hunter x Hunter.
Eventually,
Hunter x Hunter is actually a game that's been announced that's going to be being worked on by Aiding, who co-developed Marvel 3 and DNF, right?
Probably.
Yeah. So we are potentially seeing a tag game there as well. Maybe TM until we see the trailer. So,
and we're waiting. Oh damn it! I just had a Multiverse's comeback story eventually.
Yes, maybe not. They will be coming back online in sometime 2024. I think they said was it June or something like that.
You got to think. Granted, there is no new Smash right now, so
right. And granted, that's also the other aspect of the co-op game. So that was Multiverse's last year was the co-op game. So again, 2v2s or just doubles types of battles, just for. I mean, I don't know. I don't know where it's going to go. I'm interested in seeing what our new post-COVID and post like all these other games rollback now coming out. I'm interested in seeing what the new sort of genre is going to be, what type of era we're going to name this. Sort of like a la like wrestling, how they're like, that's the Attitude Era, it's the Ruthless Aggression. What is the era we're going to have here? Is it going to be the complain online and get thrashed and not play a fighting game ever again? Like
that's every era. That's every era, bro. As soon as Twitter was made, that's every era, baby. Every year. That don't stop.
So in other words, what I'm looking,
you're not wrong.
I'm looking forward to is, what's the era going to be?
I think the word for me is going to be collab era. I think it's now more than ever, more companies are gonna, Capcom for one being like, Capcom, as much as we say all these companies try things, Capcom tries things all the time. I'm not even gonna take that away from them. When it comes to collabing, they've always been kind of just like dip their toe a little bit in it. Just they never just fully fledged. They're not like an SNK where, the example was if you take their mobile game, they got the KOF with like everybody. You can put Soul, you can put Street Fighter characters, you could put fucking wrestling characters in there, all in one game. Sam Show, everything. Like they'll just throw everybody in there because they're just gonna create this gigantic melting pot that's gonna appeal to everyone.
But that's the problem with Capcom. They're fine with outsourcing their characters. They don't ever put anyone in. Like you had the AEW toys that I just saw at GameStop is the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega as Ken and Ryu and all of those guys and Akuma.
Yes.
And like you have them branching out in Wrestle or Royal Rumble, like you said.
For them, they got, let me see. Yeah. For Capcom, they've done what is it? PUBG, Street Fighter. They did Fall Guys,
Fortnite,
Street Fighter. They've done Fortnite. They did Rainbow Six, like a month ago, right? Rainbow Six has some skins. They have no problem outsourcing. Capcom has never had an issue with that. What I'm trying to say is, I want the next era to be more of the collab within all the companies. Like I would love or strive to have a guest character that's not from Guilty Gear. It will be a first time ever, and I think it will do great if it's done correctly. Street Fighter, the same way. Maybe they could just do a guest character that isn't an internal Capcom property, because they've just historically only done internal Capcom properties, right? That's it, right? With Akira or whatever. That's as much as they went in. SNK, I don't think has an issue with nobody collabing. I mean, shit, Viking's already in Sam's show. That was already done years ago, and it's like, it just fits. No one's like bat an eye to it. It makes sense, and I think it worked out very well. I just want to see it to be, if it was any era next, I would love it to be a collaboration era between the companies. Because there's already a lot of crossover. Everyone's playing. There's so many good games. Everyone's playing. I think right now this is the most we have of like fighting game players playing so many different games. And you'll still always have your true like, yo, I am a Guilty player and that's all I play. Bet nothing wrong with that. But you'll see that those Guilty players are probably picking up Street Fighter on the side. Or yeah, maybe if they're only inching a little bit, maybe they're playing more Granblue instead. Shit, Granblue's got fucking 2B in it. Like collabing just makes the most sense to me. So if I were to pick an era of hopefully next, it would be that.
For me, it's not that so much. So it's two things for me. One, if I was to pick an era, I feel like we've missed out. We kind of like skirted and went under the radar, which would be like the indie era, which we haven't had a full-on indie era. We've seen like glimpses of what it could be, but I think with the rise of like Project L, games like that are giving this new wave to new ideas for indie games to go, oh, we can jump our hat in other things too, as well as like you see games like Crossfire, you see we've seen like Altar of Omen or Omen of Altar, I think it was called. The horror
Omen
game.
Omen of Altar, Omen of Sorrow.
Omen of Sorrow, thank you. Omen of Sorrow, you're right, because I bought it. I bought it. So yeah, no, like we saw those games try to get off the ground, but now that we have a community that's way more interactive with as content creators, and it seems like they're reaching out more to, the content creators, I think we're starting to see games like SLAF 2 get more exposure, more indie games get more exposure. So I kind of would like to see this be the big games, and then the indie era really kicks in somewhere later, a little bit later, but right before Project L, because I feel like Project L is kind of like that indie game. Even though it's by Riot, it's still technically like an indie game. They've never touched fighting games like that. I mean, the people who are working on it have, but we've never seen that come to our universe now. So it's very unique and very different. We've, seen fighting games go to other universes, mobile games, side beat 'em ups, scrollers, all kinds of stuff. So that's one thing. But I think for me, the biggest thing I want to see in 2024, and funny enough, I will be honest with you guys, I'm going back to school for networking, and I want to understand more of how we get to where Japan and Korea have gotten with their network system to run these games. It doesn't have to be necessarily fighting games, but like to see how we integrate how they did StarCraft and League of Legends and all these other games, and they made it seamless in other countries where they're running on 7G or higher, and we're not there yet. So I would like to see how we as a community or through the developers, how they grow network wise, because we haven't seen them improve outside of rollback, which rollback has always been around, because the Cannon brothers have made it very clear it's been around. It's just nobody's been able to utilize it that well. So it's like, how is Project L going to be the standard that says rollback is actually insanely good? You guys just don't know the structure yet. And are we going to see it to the point where if I go over to California and I'm sitting in San Francisco and Gabe decides he wants to go to Connecticut, and I'm like, yo, I need to practice. I link up with him, we play online, and it's almost like we're offline. Like how people are doing parsec on cloud systems right now. I want to know if that's what this era is going to bring. Are we going to bring this new network era where nobody complains about rollback or delay based anymore? It's just one thing. Like how we used to all be on delay based and bitch about it, but it was whatever.
So you want it to just be an advancement of like basically the back end on things. You just want that to kind of push forward this year is like kind of like the big thing you're looking forward to. Like even if it's not just network wise, or are you also thinking like I don't know if you remember like the Eddie replay system or what they added in Plus R a while back, that it's now also in Uni 2. I don't know if you French, shout outs to French Red for being a small team and be able to implement that training replay that lets you literally stop a replay right where you're at and then literally like input from there, so you can just like training. It's like just training monsters wet dream where it's like I don't have to set it up. I have the replay of it here. Are you saying just like advancement overall in those kinds of tools and functions?
I do want to see advancement overall. I personally mean network because that's what I'm getting into now. So it's like I want to see that, but I love advancement, and that's kind of the biggest thing because look at Skullgirls. We ranted and raved for years about how Skullgirls just did everything, and then them's fighting herds. Some of the people came from there and took some of the stuff and talked to the people who did Skullgirls. It was like, yo, can we use some of this? Can we improve it? And that's where I feel we're missing. I think Street Fighter kind of started doing that and then kind of fell back, and then you saw Mortal Kombat thought about doing it and then still always fails to do it the proper way. And now Tekken I can tell you firsthand, they've done a great job during Tekken 7. It shouldn't have been a patch that you pay for, but the frame data is there. The tools are there. It's just like I'm seeing some of the newer games being built. I want to see more effective advancement towards network, also improvement on just designing games. I'll say it that way. If you're not doing what Street Fighter 6 did or Granblue's doing, I think you're making an MK, because I'll give it to them. They gave us a bunch of other stuff, but I really think the pinnacle right now of two games that have proven that they're doing all the content is Street Fighter 6 giving us a standalone story mode and also letting us utilize those characters as if I was playing an MMORPG and like a bunch of battle modes. And then you have Granblue, who's like, hey, you want to play Fall Guys? Hey, you want to play the story mode? Hey, you want to do this? You want to do that? I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know what to do. I'm just going to go to training room. At least I have those options. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I have those options, but that's something I think we lost as consumer, just not even competitors, consumers. We have lost the ability to say, we want these things to be implemented. Instead, we'd rather say, give us more rollback. And then we get a bare bones game and go, how the hell did it not sell well? Right? So I want those core things. Granblue is doing really well for itself. I would like to see, hopefully, the Hunter x Hunter game come out with all these mechanics. I know JoJo's did fairly well with all the updates. The only problem is they just didn't have the network, right? So it's like, we can combine everything. Yo, we should be having perfect fighting games coming out. And what I mean by perfect, as in like structural perfect, like that works. There's a system there. I don't want to see, I have arcade mode, time attack, training, options. All right. And online and versus. Thanks, guys. That's a great game. And I'm paying $60 for that shit? Paying $60 for that shit? Yeah, all right. Don't forget
Conquest. Meza wants function. He wants tools and functions to improve, and the brother wants value for his game, which I do not. I can't fault you for that. I mean,
we're moving to the $70. We're moving to the $70 range, right? So like we just look at MK.
In some cases more than that. In some cases more than that. Son.
It's to be exact, I think it's 85.15 or some dumbass number for like how much we pay in tax for it now. And in other countries, it's even worse. So I just kind of want to see there become a standardized for the games. So if people do have to pay these absurd amounts, like $90 or $100 for all this stuff, at least it makes sense, you know.
Listen, at least Street Fighter had World Tour mode. I didn't even play World Tour mode, and I already still feel like I got my money's worth because I play the game a lot.
Yeah,
it's got enough competition for me to enjoy it. So I know what you mean.
If you didn't have competition, you got at least something else.
So one thing, and it's actually something that you were touching on earlier, Meza, is that I would like to see is cross genre development. Like,
Yes.
I don't know if you guys had a chance, but Blaze Blue had their was it Entropy Effect came out in August of this year, and that was a straight up kind of like
RPG?
Dead Cells roguelike platformer, 2D platformer, not beat 'em up, but like shooter, and not like Dead Cells, so it didn't have like Metrovania type mechanics for those that know what that is, but it was just a jump into being able to take this IP and do it in another completely different genre outside of fighting games. A fighting game IP, not in a fighting game. Like companies like SNK have been very verbal about it, going like, we want to just pimp our IPs out. And not verbatim. That's not what they said on their actual, their actual message. But they want to pimp out their IPs to other genres because they are seeing that there is potentially an avenue there. These are already well-established characters, their stories, their fan bases. Like, I'm gonna keep it a buck. Would you guys pay for a like God of War style game? This is my pitch meeting right here. God of War style game, let's say closer to the original trilogy, not like the newer one. So more of like a further camera based out, like bunch of enemies, crazy topic, all that top down.
Oh sure, either way, it doesn't matter.
But it's based around Scorpion from Mortal Kombat. And
Okay,
I'm talking to you give it the cinematic, you give it the NRS writing with deep lore, deep cuts from the stories that character touches, but actually create a game around that complete single.
So you're saying Shaolin Monks, what it should have been, what we should have gotten.
Oh shit, you're right.
Yeah, that's all you're saying. or the N64 Sub-Zero game.
Please, when I completely forgot about Shaolin Monks. Oh,
hold on.
But yeah, a newer version. Let's just say a newer version.
Hold on. What about Guilty Gear 2 Overture?
That was a good game.
You're talking about the 3D game, right?
Yeah, I didn't get it because GameSpot had it like given it like a 6 out of 10, and it felt
I'm fine.
Good.
Developing back then is a little different from it is now, but I think if you give it the good writing, a solid single play. Like I said, these characters are already established. These lores are established to us, so you already got our money. But like if you write it correctly, if you create it correctly to make it more of a mass appeal thing that could just stand alone as a single player, I don't see why you couldn't create these kinds of IPs. Will it feel a little weird? Yes. But if you can still create it well enough, I know that's vague and stuff, but I'm like, the characters are already there. Like a lot of the work is already done. It's just a matter of being able to create that gameplay that helps it resonate and make it a good game firsthand. I think it would just set. I think that's what all these fighting game IPs need to do. That's what I would love to see moving forward.
I definitely can tell you that's kind of already partially happening. As we know, Dungeon Fighter Online is not necessarily just strictly a fighting game or anything like that. It is mostly a side-scroll and beat 'em up, but it does have fighting game elements to it, which I've proven. But at the same time, they are working on, and this is like something stepping outside of the normal IP. Instead of it just being an online multiplayer game, they're doing a full-on RPG, Dark Souls style, with the very first version of Berserker. That's an example of exactly what you're asking for us for fighting games to do, and it's doable. Yeah. They just need to not look at it as they're not going to sell. Like, I don't get it. I've heard Guilty Gear, and this is the one thing I'll say, and I'll let you go, Gabe. Guilty Gear, when Guilty Gear Reloaded 2 came out, X Reloaded 2. Is that right? Yeah.
Guilty Gear Reload or Guilty Gear XX Reload. Midnight Carnival.
When that came out, before it came out, I went to go pre-order the game. They said, okay, well, no, I went to go buy the game because I was like, nobody's pre-ordering this shit. I walked in there, they were like, oh, it's all sold out. I was like, at GameStop? Who's buying this game? Who's buying Guilty Gear like that where it's sold out? So it goes to show, people know the game, they're buying it. I'm pretty sure an RPG version of something would definitely sell way more. We saw it with League of Legends. League of Legends turned their multiplayer game into it.
Well, they did the opposite. They took their IP and then created a bunch of other things from that.
Well, no, when they made the one for the RPG that they made for the PC strictly, no, it was actually on console too. They made an RPG where it was like the Lich King or something like that version, where it was literally strictly but they were a multiplayer game. You know what I mean? Like they stepped outside of their normal genre. Where they were already touching base with all these other things.
That's what I'm saying. It should what the fighting game should do. They should just go the opposite way and just see if creating IPs outside of this realm would work, or creating games with these IPs would work. Like they're already established. I don't see any reason why not. I don't see any reason why not.
Was Akuma ever playable in Resident Evil 2, or was that just a meme or April Fool's joke?
That's a meme. I don't remember him ever being played.
I remember maybe it was one. Yeah, maybe it was a comic book where you had to do a certain thing. Not comic book, like an EGM. It's probably an April Fool's joke.
Probably
same in the game.
Same one that probably spoke about Shenlong. Probably that's
right. Zora's Wrath count?
Good point. Zora's Wrath.
Yeah,
that's
there
right.
you go.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, that was, I think, the first time.
That was a little guest character. Once again, a little bit of trickman right there that Capcom likes to do. They'll just, add a little bit to that. They won't go too hard. I'll give you Ryu, even Ryu and Akuma. That's about, and Oni. That's about it. But that's what I would love to see moving forward. At least some sort of other example of that. Like I said, Blaze Blue Empathy was just like kind of just an interesting bit. Overall, right now, from what I understand, the game is overly positive on Steam. It's been received well. I haven't heard anything, I don't say shitty about it, but I haven't really heard that it was a trash game. But it could be just as simple as that to start. Yeah.
I just remembered. Wait, Granblue is doing that right now. Granblue is actually coming out with Granblue Fantasy Relink, and it is a 4-player multiplayer 3D action adventure.
Granblue is like a
it's an exception.
It's an exception because it's the opposite. Granblue isn't a fighting game that spurred everything else. Granblue was already a gacha game that then jumped into fighting games.
Persona?
It's the opposite. No, yeah, and Persona. That doesn't
We're all waiting
either.
for P5A.
But it worked, right? But it works though. The fact that that formula works that way doesn't mean it can't work the other way. So
didn't Capcom make Street Fighter 20XX or what was that?
Bro, we're not bringing that up.
Ken having
with a Captain Commando looking guy. No, we're not doing that. It is, and it actually was Ken. It was actually Ken.
Yeah. See?
Yeah, it was Ken.
They tried.
So the one last tidbit I kind of wanted to bring up about 2024 and what to look forward to. This one, like I said, kind of goes on with what I enjoyed seeing in 2023, but it's honestly more content creators. I think it's already been put down into kind of a science of what people like when it comes to like shorts and the tech and the online ranked matches, whether you're, a good player or an entertaining person. I think more, there's more content creators out there, some that are that have some really good ideas, have just started in 2023. I would love to see the numbers grow because also that gets more eyes on the community, right? You hit the algorithm right, you get to see more people, like, you've got your Maxes, right? That everybody fucking knows Max, right? That is like the go-to guy for your casual audience is Maximilian. Then if you start kind of trickling into some of the competitions, you got your Brian F's, you got your Diaphones, you've got your Punks, you've got your Kizzies, JM Crops, whatever, right? It keeps on going. Smug. Yeah, shout out to Smug. I want to see more. I want to see more content creators come out. I want to see more, because you're always going to bring something unique because nobody else can be you but you. So like if you think like, oh, I'll never be able like this other person, it's like you're absolutely right. You won't be able to do it the same way. You'll just do it your way, right? So you might as well give the world something new by trying it. So I want to see more content creators come out in 2024 for fighting games, especially since we have so many. We have so many fighting games, and especially once, like I said, once the bomb blows up with Project L, and now you've got League into fighting games and fighting games into League, it's gonna be just a mash made in heaven for everyone that enjoys pressing buttons. So 2024 is looking to be a stacked year.
I would also like to start a petition to get Core A Gaming to come back and make more videos because I miss that guy. He's such a great. He's the reason why so many fighting game players are probably as good as they are now, because he broke it down in a system for us as a content creator. That like I look at his videos now, he's one of the people sitting with like 1.8 mil, how to Korean backdash. Can game mechanics be art? Can these are so many creative ideas. Bring that type of content back. We don't have enough of that. I think we have a lot of gameplay, but some of us do miss like the tell us what it's like. Tell us what it really is. Am I bad or absolutely. Am I good? What type of player am I? Am I a heartful player? Do I just DP to DP?
This stuff is deep, man. This stuff is deep, and some creators just like really let the kind of like dig into the studies and bring it out for us to really enjoy it. And some of it's some great educational content. Some of it's just fucking very well entertaining. But at the end of the day, that's what I want in 2024. I want more content creators to come out. I want to see more content out there from everybody. So that's what I'm looking forward to. But that's going to lead us to actually the question of the week for this. I know it's long-winded, but it's for you guys, the listeners, those that have been hanging out with us. And my question to you is, what are you looking towards in 2024? Are you looking towards the new fighting games that are going to be dropping? Once again, like your Project Tails, your Tekken 8s, maybe some indie fighters. Shout out to cats like Uppercut, right, from Genuine Games that we had earlier on this show. Are you looking forward to the events, right? Maybe some new events potentially that might be coming up. Maybe just making your runs around the circuit in 2024. Are you looking to see what else the fighting game community can actually provide in terms of outside of fighting games? Some collabs, some possible, other genre created games maybe. Please remaster Shaolin Monks, because that's basically what my pitch meeting was. Who knows? But we want to hear from you guys. We want to know. We're going to have this question posted up on our Twitter at DoubleTapFGC, and as well as on our Spotify. So whether you're on iOS or Android, whatever, if you check us on Spotify, you guys can give us an answer right there. We'd love to check it out. We'll talk about it on the next episode, which will be happening in 2024, which means that's going to be it for this week and this year. Want to say thank you to all the viewers, all the listeners. If you're checking us on YouTube, you've been listening to us year round. We appreciate you guys for another year. It's been an amazing ride, and I think 2024 is actually going to be even nuttier. So I hope you're strapped in, ready for the ride, and will join us as well. We appreciate you guys for hanging with us for another episode here. Make sure to follow my awesome hosts hanging out with me, of course, for another year of this debauchery. Static Gorilla, of course, at Static Gorilla on all social media platforms. You can check out Meza at Meza FGC on all social media platforms as well. Both on Twitch as well for both of these guys. You can check me out at CrashTagBS, and you can check out the show once again at DoubleTapFGC. Make sure to follow us there. We post up about the new show. We interact a lot with the community there. The 30% that of Twitter that is kind of dope is what we like to talk about. But follow us there. Check us out. We post up when a new episode happens. You guys can support the episodes, liking, retweeting, giving us feedback. We ask for it every day. It's not going to change this coming up year. Feedback helps a whole lot. Lets us know what we're doing right, so we keep on doing it, and what we're doing wrong, so we can go back to the training room and fix that matchup. I appreciate everyone hanging out. If you want to also join us on our Discord, mash.gg/Discord. Come say what's up. Come get an FGC flare. Come say what's up to our awesome community there. All the guys there in the Discord, shout outs to all of you that answer on the questions there. We do post up the question of the week there. We do ask focus attacks, all that good stuff. All goes down there. We put up articles, things we talk about, all goes down there. Come join us. Come say what's up. It's an open community, man. We love everybody. Loves to press some buttons. It's all appreciated there. But that is gonna be it for us this week and this year. That's it. I keep saying this week, but it's this year. All love. Stay safe out there. Watch them fireballs in the sky from a safe place. Get home safe. Hug your loved ones. All that good stuff. Get your tech ready for next year. We get into the madness. We'll see you guys in 2024. That's gonna be it. All love. Stay tuned after the show to hear about the other shows here on the network. That's it from us. We'll catch you guys next year. Peace.
Believe you could be so much more. Made for the moment in the era I forged. Live from the minutes where the legends are born, and the myths are forever when they pen our lore. I hear every echo inside of the world clear. I feel all the hopes inside of the same fear. The shadows that faded out, all the lights in the same years when they tell us that it's gone, but yo, I'm still here.